and welcome to Teletalk. I'm Liv.
And I'm Ben.
And on this episode, you'll hear our carefully considered and not at all random thoughts on a show we like. There will be spoilers.
We're giving ourselves an age rating of 15 and above, but you're welcome to make up your own mind. Listener discretion is advised.
And if you're liking what you're hearing, please do rate, review and subscribe. It really means a lot to us.
Yes, and if you want to contact us on our socials, we're at TeletalkPod on Blue Sky and Facebook, and you can email us at teletalkpod@outlook.com.
So this episode we are reacting to Death in Paradise, Season 14, Episode 6. And actually, this episode felt a bit different to the rest in the season.
Yeah, it did a bit.
It had its own storyline and whatnot.
It had its own storyline. There were no drugs used, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
I know. So, have you got an episode description?
I have. Mervin and the team investigate the dark side of online dating. When a man is shot dead at his villa, sort of, a new colleague makes an impression for all the wrong reasons.
Dun dun dun.
I mean, he's not going to be the least successful new person. He hasn't been shot or beaten to death with a rock or anything on his first day.
Oh, I see what you're getting at.
Yeah. I was harking back to the early episode where a recruit was bludgeoned to death on his first day.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
I think that was episode 1.
Benjamin Bryce.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
So the premise of this episode is that we have a victim.
We do.
Obviously. And his long-distance girlfriend is coming to meet him in person. They've been dating online for about a month.
This seems legit.
Yeah, so we see the first thing is a man lurking in a car outside the soon-to-be victim's home.
You know it's going to be a good start to an episode when you got a good old bit of lurking early on.
There's quite a bit of lurking in this episode,
Ooh.
actually, because that relates to a subplot as well.
Yes, it's very much the lurking episode.
Yeah. Well, the girlfriend arrives in Saint Marie and we see her meeting up with a taxi driver, and she then gets a video call from the victim.
Yeah, and on that video call, things indeed go super well.
Yeah, the victim is threatened by a male voice, by someone off camera. We don't see them. Then we hear a gunshot and then the camera sort of falls to the ground. Nothing else happens. The girlfriend's pretty panicked, as is the taxi driver. And he says he's going to phone the police while she does something, can't remember what. They get in the car and they drive off.
Well, they both go like, we've got to go to the house. I'm like, well, that is a questionable decision.
Yeah. So when they get to the house, the taxi driver wants the girlfriend to be careful. He wants her to wait outside at first, and she says, no, I've got to go in. And he says, but what if the gunman's still in there? At least go careful. So she moves slowly through this villa and she finds her boyfriend dead on the terrace, and he has been shot through the heart.
And you're to blame.
Oh my God.
It's back. I mean, come on, he was shot through the heart.
I know what you're going to do.
But what I liked was that in this taxi driver, feminism is alive and well, because he was very much not going old school chivalrous, I'll go in there, love, you stay here. He's saying don't go in there, but he all but shoves her through the door. And is like, you got this, girl.
I don't agree with that.
Well, he wasn't going in.
I think he did his best to keep her outside.
Did he?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, big up to the not stereotype.
Okay. All right.
You're not meeting me here, are you?
No, because I think you are letting events from later on in the episode now cloud your memory of what happened.
I'm just saying, I think it was refreshing that it wasn't the man going, get behind me, I'll investigate. You know, like the old school movies and that.
Sure thing. Shall we agree to disagree?
No, I'm going to die on this hill. No, please carry on.
Okay, let's meet the victim.
Hello, victim.
Our victim is Christian Butler. He is a rich business type person.
Yeah, that bit is kind of vague. There's insinuation that he travels a lot and he's got a fancy villa. And so that's kind of the gist we get of him early on, isn't
Yeah,
it?
we don't learn too much about him to begin with. It is more what we learn post-mortem.
Yeah, yes. I mean, to be fair, we do only learn most stuff about our victims post-mortem.
Well, sometimes we get a nice clear view up ahead, like the episode you referenced already, where we had that nice flashback.
That's true. We learnt a lot more about Benjamin Bryce than the erstwhile Christian Butler.
Yeah. Well, as the episode progresses, we learn that the villa is a short-term rental. It is not something that he owns. The police find multiple fake passports, driving licenses, mobile phones, and counterfeit money in his safe.
Naomi goes, I think he's a con man. No shit, Naomi.
Yeah.
Award for detectiving there.
Yeah, detectiving.
He's got like bundles of fake documents and online profiles and stuff. And it's like, something's up here. My detective senses are tingling.
But he does seem to be a very specific con man in that he's a romance... I was going to say romance artist, but I suppose he kind of is. A romance con artist.
Yes, he is. I think the writers may well have watched the Tinder Swindler season back when it was on telly.
Yeah.
It smacks of that, doesn't it?
But it's also quite relevant to modern society. This does happen to people. So it's a nice reflection of that, I suppose.
I wonder how often it happens to such a small community of people on one small Caribbean island by the same bloke.
That is an interesting point, and we don't know the answer.
No, we don't. But I'm going to speculate that this is unrealistic.
Well, we have 4 suspects, as we often do.
So those 4 are the aforementioned girlfriend who just travelled to the island. It's her first time ever coming, apparently.
Yep.
The taxi driver that was picking her up from the airport that the victim arranged for her.
Yep.
The girlfriend's ex, the erstwhile lurker.
Yep.
And then later on we also meet the victim's ex.
Yes.
One of his many exes.
As we learn, yeah.
And she is in the picture as well.
Yes.
So shall we talk about the means and motive to start with?
So means, as we've mentioned, our victim was shot through the heart.
And
So-
he's to blame.
Okay. We're just going to keep going with that.
It's Bon Jovi.
Yep. No murder weapon is found, but the bullet is found in the victim's hand. Clasped fist, more
Which
like.
is a classic whodunit setup.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's like, oh, the mystery. He's holding his own bullet.
And actually, this is used as a bit of a plot point for Seb's growing...
Competence?
No, hang on.
Rigor.
No. Eccentricities.
Right.
Because D.I. Mervin walks in and Seb is lying in a very strange position on the floor. And he's like, no, it'll make sense. It's a good thing.
He's gaining confidence, isn't he?
Yes.
Something which, to be fair, he hasn't been short of.
Yes. But D.I. Mervin is responding better to him now, and this is called out later in the episode.
Yes, it is. It definitely seems to be signalling a thawing of relationship, both between Seb and D.I. Wilson and Seb and Darlene a little bit as well.
Yeah.
I think it's no coincidence that the episode was more fun.
It was more fun, yeah.
Because we didn't have any of Naomi and D.I. Wilson bickering. Mm-hmm. We got the classic island bafflement about British food.
Did we?
Where he was cooking her bacon and eggs and she was like, ugh.
Yeah.
But they were friendly and cheerful and all of that. And the commissioner's storyline is winding down a bit and he got to be a bit more fun. So there wasn't as much just angriness.
Yeah.
That's a word.
We were back to the light-hearted nature of the show that we've come to know and love.
And it only took 5 episodes to get through before we got to the fun.
Motive. So let's start with the girlfriend. She was the latest scam victim of the murder victim.
One of many, it would seem.
Yes, they list quite a few, and as you've said, he had loads of phones, loads of ID.
They were very keen to stress it was an international con job.
Yes. Well, he joined an international dating site, hadn't he?
I didn't know that was a thing, but maybe I'm just sheltered.
Yeah, that does sound quite good, though.
Does it?
Well, yeah, because then you get, like, built-in travel, don't you? And you can then have a partner, but they're not in your life the whole time.
I am concerned. Is this a setup for you to try and give me a message?
I'm just saying, if you're going to join a dating site, An international one sounds quite good.
It sounds inconvenient. Also, apparently there's con artists on
Okay,
there.
well, that is a significant downside.
I have a question for you, Liv. Being as we're on this subject.
Okay.
Hypothetically, assume that I didn't exist anymore.
Right.
If you did meet an international man of wealth, how long would you wait before you were going to be like, I'll fly out to his Caribbean island and meet him?
I don't know. It depends how young I was. Like, if it was right now, longer. If I was still in my 20s, who knows?
I see. Interesting.
Does that answer your question?
Well, I suppose it does answer my question.
Back to the girlfriend, they find out that she is friends with a previous victim of his.
Yeah, they went to school together.
Yeah, and so then we're set up with a potential revenge, or maybe the two of them worked together as a setup.
I'm sensing this school did not have a good module on stranger danger.
Yeah, that's more of a modern thing, though. I didn't do stranger danger.
You didn't do stranger danger?
No. Or if we did, I was sick that day.
I feel like stranger danger is a universal thing.
Is it, though? I don't think anyone thought of that rhyme until long after I'd left school.
You are making it sound like you're like 104 years old in this episode.
Did you learn about stranger danger in school?
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
I know what stranger danger is.
Yeah, but that's different. When did you learn it?
When I was a kid.
I don't...
Maybe it was my parents that taught me, not my school, but pretty sure school were pretty big on the whole, like, be careful of strangers thing.
Okay.
You make it out like you grew up in the 50s.
I'm just saying, like, I don't remember the school making a big deal of it.
Yeah, they're like, let them figure it out. The tough ones and smart ones will survive.
Yeah, and here I am, everyone.
Uh-huh. This adds a whole new caveat to that whole, like, how long would you go before you met up with your online fella question.
Making it make a whole lot more sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, taxi driver. He says he doesn't know the victim, that he was just asked to pick up the girlfriend from the airport.
Yeah, which all seems legit.
Then the police find his fingerprints all over the counterfeit cash.
$20,000.
Yep.
I was about to try and use slang for that, but I don't know the slang for, like, what that is. 20 large dollarinos.
Okay, now who's showing their age?
I don't think that's age. I think that's naivety and shelteredness.
So, when pressed, he admits that he was working for the victim and has for a while.
And I was so disappointed because I liked him, and I suspect that you did too.
He was alright.
I'm sure we've heard him mentioned in passing in previous seasons because he's got quite a distinct name. Dalmar?
I don't know.
I'm sure Dwayne at some point has referenced that name in passing, unless it's a different person by the same name, but I recognise the name.
Okay. That being the case, I don't think it was on purpose. Because he's not going to be an ongoing character.
Well, you don't know that.
I don't think he's going to... He's a criminal. He's going to be locked up now. Whoopsie.
For having fingerprints on counterfeit money, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, because it turns out that he'd swapped the counterfeit money for real money, or vice versa.
He now has the real money, and the victim has the counterfeit money.
Yeah, so he'd sort of ripped off the victim, but he insists that the victim had no idea.
The police still think that maybe the victim did know, and this was an attempt to stop him from going to the police. Or maybe he was about to find out, and same rules apply.
Yeah, it's as good a reason as any so far.
Yeah. So then, the girlfriend's ex...
Stalky McStalkerson.
Yeah, why is he even here?
Because he's a Stalker McStalkerson, Liv. And he's deeply unsettling.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you not? This is Liv's worldview hot takes again.
I just thought he was a normal, middle-class, white dude. No?
Normal?
Yeah.
Okay, so they've broken up, and he thinks that she made a questionable decision, and seems to have been discussing this at length with her parents, and has followed her out, without her knowledge, to a Caribbean island to check out her new boyfriend.
I think that we have seen this sort of behaviour in that sort of character in other murder mysteries, and so I've gone perfectly normal.
It's normalised. Right, so your compass is skewed.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because I think you and I need to discuss the concept of boundaries. like, should we ever split up, which we won't, but should we ever, that's not okay.
Well, you'd be the one stalking me.
No, I wouldn't. That's
Right.
the point.
Mm.
I tell you what, listeners, if you've got a view on this, please weigh in, because I feel like the internet will be on my side. Bearing in mind that this is the person who insists that stranger danger wasn't a thing until, like, yesterday.
No, like maybe 10 years ago. Like, it's not brand new.
So yeah, he is problematic, in my opinion.
Fine.
Also, he's lurking outside the victim's house, and then chickens out and says he'll come back the next day.
That's reading into it.
Is it?
Yeah, because in the opening scenes, we see him lurking outside, and he's on the phone to someone, and he says, I'll come back tomorrow before she arrives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, really, isn't it?
So he's either a creepy stalker, or a creepy stalker and a murderer.
Well, when the police catch up with him, they ask what was up, and he says that he came here because he was concerned, as were her parents, and he wanted to talk to the dude. So he went there that morning, and there was already someone there, and he heard raised voices, and so he left and went to go get breakfast. So we can assume that his motive would be maybe jealousy?
Yeah, because he stalked her 5,000 miles. So
Well, but you could say that's concern, not jealousy.
No. No. Like, as D.I. Wilson points out, none of this makes it sound better. So yeah, he's creepy, but he insists that he was well-intentioned creepy.
Yeah, and that he didn't do it, because he was having breakfast.
Yeah, that's true. I was eaten with my face, was basically what he said.
Because I suppose we have quite a solid timestamp. They don't harp on about it, but the gunshot was heard over the phone while the girlfriend and the taxi driver were at the airport.
Yeah, and so they had a time that they could pinpoint.
Yeah.
So the person that he sort of pointed them out to, this person that the victim was talking to when he went to visit, turns out to be one of the victim's exes.
Yes.
A fairly long-term ex.
And coincidentally, Seb is brought to the jetty because of a drunk person fallen asleep on some steps.
That was some great classic drunk acting, wasn't it?
Yeah, so he went to go and wake her up and check she's okay, and she acts all suspicious-like. And when she sees his police uniform, she says, "You know, don't you?" And then she pushes Seb into the water.
We might have to catch up on this later, but I was never entirely clear what it is she thought he knew.
Good question. That.
You were really winding up to answer that and then realised you didn't have any ammo in the chamber.
Oh no, I thought about this earlier and I was like, yeah, that's cool, I've got the answer, and now I've forgotten it.
Oh no, I put you on the spot.
Yeah, it was something like that she was at the victim's house that morning.
Oh, okay. Or maybe that she'd also been conned.
Yeah, maybe that.
Because it turns out he had been long conning her for some while. He'd conned her out thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars over, what, a 2 or 3 year period?
Yeah, and it included her inheritance from her grandmother as well. So she really has nothing left.
And so the police are like, that doesn't really sound great for you.
Yeah, she's drunk, which you might do if you've just killed someone.
And not just drunk, really drunk.
Yeah, and she's been a victim of his, and she was at the scene of the crime
Raised
around
voices
the time.
heard.
Yeah, but the thing in her favour is that over the phone they heard a male voice, and she is quite clearly a female.
That's true. They are very set upon it was a male voice that they heard on the phone,
Yeah.
so it can rule out the women.
Even though the police themselves didn't hear it, this is just witness statements.
Yeah.
And we know from other shows how unreliable witnesses can be.
Yeah, but as we've also seen from this show, they will just take anyone's word for anything.
Well, there is that, yeah.
Um,
So her potential motive would be revenge.
but she insists that she knew all about it, and had come to reconcile and forgive him and help him right his ways, and they'd ride off in the sunset together as a reformed couple. Unfortunately, he wasn't keen.
Yeah, so it really depends how much you believe her in that.
I mean, to be fair, she is bold enough to shove a policeman off a jetty.
True, that is quite a bold move.
It's assertive.
Yes.
Did you like her?
This is an interesting question with all of these characters, actually. I think I did like her.
There was something about her that I quite liked the cut of her jib.
But then there was also part of her that I didn't trust.
No, she's on this show.
Yeah, I think it was more to do with the fact that she was saying that she wanted to reconcile and forgive him. And I think that just doesn't jive with what I would do.
I still find it hilarious once again that you're like, this woman, don't like her. There's something about her. Creepy stalker man, fine, love him, great.
Stop pointing these things out.
I'm starting to really question your judge of character, especially on these shows.
Okay, opportunity then.
Well, there wasn't really any for anyone, was there?
No, classic Death in Paradise setup.
Because, you know, the girlfriend and the taxi driver watched it happen from afar on a video call.
Yes, so they can alibi each other.
Handy.
The girlfriend's ex, the creepy stalker guy, as you've dubbed him.
He was getting his grub on.
Yeah, he was seen having breakfast for like 45 minutes around that time. And then the victim's ex-girlfriend was also remembered because she was drinking rum at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah, that is the classic Sam Marie alibi, isn't it?
Was it gin or rum? I think it might be gin now that I'm thinking about it.
I don't know, it feels like it should be rum.
It was spirits.
Oh yes, it was hard alcohol at an unseasonably early time.
Yes.
Even for San Marie. If even the San Marie bartenders are like, this is too much.
Yeah, and then we know she went from there straight to the jetty.
She was hella drunk.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we get to before we end up with our big reveal. And we are back to a big reveal again in front of the suspects, which is nice.
Yeah. So we have 4 people on the island with a connection to the victim, hence no one else is a suspect. But none of them could have done it because they all have solid alibis.
And for once, I'm not going, yeah, but what about everyone else in the world? Because this seems reasonable.
Yes. To the solution.
Maybe we should talk about the evidence.
Oh.
You're just too keen.
Okay.
It's all right. I know you're excited, but let's just talk about a few bits of evidence so that at least we're all on the same page.
Go on then.
So, there is all the evidence of the victim's multiple aliases.
Including passports, driving licenses, and phones.
I'm beginning to think he's a con man.
Yeah. We have the bullet in his hand.
Shot through the heart, and now it's in his hand.
The counterfeit money, which was meant to be real money, but was nicked.
Yes.
Whole nother crime.
Your Honour, this was meant to be real money.
Therefore, it's totally legit.
Oh my god, he's got Monopoly money.
We have the girlfriend's school friend who was also conned by the victim. Now, she was conned into bankruptcy. So this was quite severe.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give him this. He is good.
And the final piece of evidence happens right before the big reveal, which is the layout of the villa.
Would you like to do the big reveal now?
Okay.
Who done it?
The taxi driver did it. And when they announced this, I was like, he's the worst one! Like, he makes no sense.
Oh, okay.
Why have you picked him?
I mean, he is the worst one. He's a murderer.
Well, he is now, yeah.
Well, he was before. He doesn't suddenly become a murderer when you find out about it. He already did it.
Well, he's not a serial killer. This is his first murder.
Do you know who is a serial killer? Stalker McStalkerboy, because he was eating breakfast at the time.
What?
He was eating cereal.
Cereal. Okay. Okay. Oh dear.
That was more fun because you didn't get it.
Was it? Anyway, back to the taxi driver.
Oh yeah, he did a thing.
So the taxi driver had been working with our victim for a long time, and he'd been playing this same role as innocent taxi driver, where he would pick up the girlfriends from the airport. They would receive a phone call or a video call from our victim. He would play a recording in the background of someone threatening him and then a gunshot. Then the taxi driver would pretend to phone the police whilst the girlfriend tried to get hold of the victim. They'd show up, and then the difference would be that our romance con man victim would be like, oh, I'm being shaken down for money and I don't have it, can you help me out? And con them out of more money.
Yeah, and at this point, I was like, that's not just you participating, you're a full-on accomplice at this point.
Yeah.
Like, he's pretty involved.
And they don't actually call him an accomplice.
No, well, I feel like at this point, they've realised that there's bigger issues here, because he's a murderer. Okay. So, you know, murderer trumps accomplice in the sort of poker of, like, crime.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
But he just shrugs his shoulders. I think they probably take his lead, because he's like, well, yeah, I guess I was sort of involved in all of the things.
But then we learn that he had grown to hate what the victim was doing. And this was a direct result of his granddaughter getting older and him envisioning her being one of his victims.
Yeah, I feel like this was a little bit of a reach from the writers, having written themselves into a point where they had a great plot and everything. And they were like, all we need is a reason that he decided to kill him.
I quite liked the reason.
Of course you did. I thought it was ridiculous and you think it's brilliant.
I thought it was chivalrous. You don't see enough of this. What?
Right, okay. It was chivalrous.
Yeah, he was going to give the women their money back. He was going to stop it from happening in the future. What?
I refer you back to him virtually shoving the woman into the building to go and carefully stump around and find the dead body of her boyfriend.
This was your opinion earlier.
Chivalrous.
Yep, I tried to tell you that he's a good guy. Anyhow.
So you're fully on Team Murderer today. So what we've taken away in this particular episode, you're pro Stalker Boy and pro Murdering Taxi Driver. Heroes of the story.
I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion, right?
Can Commissioner Patterson still fuck off?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Anyhow. So, yes, as you rightly said, he urged the girlfriend to walk slowly through the villa by implying that the gunman might still be there.
Terrifying her in a chivalrous way.
Now, this is the only way that this murder works, because at this point, the victim is still alive.
It also relies on our taxi driver having exceptionally good cardio for a taxi driver.
And on the victim being on the terrace.
Yes, and also him being a crack shot.
Yeah.
Because he was shot through the heart.
And he died instantly.
Yeah, so, you know, this guy is basically like a full-on military sharpshooter. Because I feel like if you've just sprinted urgently with adrenaline, you're going to be it's quite difficult.
All the way up the stairs as well.
Yeah, he is spry.
So, yeah, what happens is he sends the girlfriend in through the villa slowly so that he can run round the back, up the stairs and shoot the guy on the terrace. And then back to the car at the front of the driveway.
It is very lucky for him that she is both slow and deaf.
Yeah.
Because they also have a sort of semi-shouted interchange, he and the victim, before he, like, caps him in the heart.
Well, yeah, he calls his name to get his attention, doesn't he?
Yeah.
His real name being Adam, not Christian.
Yeah, this is why we don't use names.
Yeah.
And this was reinforced by this episode because he had like 15 names.
And then, while the girlfriend is waiting outside in shock for the police, the taxi driver goes and erases that voice recording on the second phone and shoves it in the safe. And then he gets rid of the gun and we never see that again.
At least they gave us a reason why he was alone with the body for ages afterwards, unlike Zipline episode, where the killer just randomly supposedly had half an hour to do what he liked.
So yeah, taxi driver did it and that's how.
So what I'm hearing, just sense check, is letting the now semi-traumatized victim...
Scam victim.
Yes, letting her toddle around in terror in an unknown villa looking for what she expects to be the body of her boyfriend and possibly a gun-wielding maniac, while he runs around and commits cold-blooded murder is, and I quote, chivalrous.
Ah, but did she get conned out of thousands of pounds of money?
No, but
No, she did not.
Although she is going to have to spend at least that on therapy.
Nah, I think she'll be fine.
Well, that's a take. Yes.
Do you want to take us through the subplots from this episode?
Well, there's only really a couple of subplots of note.
Thank the Lord, there have been far too many recently.
Have you heard the commissioner's leaving?
Yes.
And we get to meet his replacement / the guy who'll be taking on his responsibilities.
Red sports car guy.
Yeah, his name is Sterling Fox, which is the most telly name ever.
Do you think it's based on Lawrence Fox, and that's why we're not meant to like him?
I hadn't thought that, but maybe.
Okay.
I just wrote down he may as well be called Flash Gitterson.
Oh, I like that.
That's what I'm going to call him from now on. Hello, I'm Flash Gitterson.
I'm there for that.
He's looking to cut costs, and they really play him up to be a douche.
Yeah, he does it well, to be fair.
Maybe he should be called Flash Deucerson.
Well, alongside meeting him, the commissioner buys everyone drinks to say goodbye, but he doesn't tell them that that's what he's doing. He just tries to make it a light, fun thing. And Catherine Dunn goes and ruins it.
Catherine's a downer this season.
Yeah.
Look, everyone's a downer. What's up with that? But it was still more fun, because he wasn't shouting at everyone like a bellend.
Yeah, and he offers to help D.I. Wilson to work on his mum's case, even though he's going to be out of there.
Yes, because, as you may have gathered, the case is back on, as we're all shocked to learn. And D.I. Wilson puts up information appeal posters with his mum's mush on them. All over the island.
In case you don't know, Ben uses the word mush
To mean
instead of face.
Yes, sorry. That could have been very confusing. What did you think I meant when I said mush, listeners? Please let me know, because I'd be fascinated to know.
I would not guess face. I only know that because I know you.
What would you think it was?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
Oh, no. I'm British. And what we get are some brilliantly Death in Paradise looming things of the back of someone sort of, and I'm going to say looming, lurking, staring at these posters, and they seem menacing to me.
We see that a few times throughout the episode, don't we? And then right at the end, we sort of find out whose back of the neck that is.
Do we find out?
Yeah.
Not officially.
Yeah, he's the bartender.
Yeah, what are the odds? Naomi and D.I. Wilson are sat in the bar at the end, and it seems very much like it's the bartender, because he is brooding over them, and his silhouette seems to fit the profile. But he looks very upset. A very grouchy man.
I was thinking less upset and more plotting, angry.
Yeah, seething.
Seething. Yeah.
Seething by the sea.
Yeah.
Seaside seething.
Okay, that's the end. There's no more.
Yes, but what we did get to see is that the next episode, the team are going to be covering the case of D.I. Wilson's mum.
And actually, Ben, you said that you wonder if this is going to be a 2-part special, and I suspect that you're right.
2-part finale.
Yeah, because we've got 2 episodes left this season, so that seems like it's going to fit in perfectly.
Hey bro, I hear you like side plot, so I'm going to make the side plot the main plot.
Nice.
Does that mean that there'll be a little side mystery that's the subplot, that's normally the main plot?
Probably still the commissioner.
I'm looking forward to all of your mad hot takes.
I don't try, they just happen. What would you rate this episode?
I would give it a solid 6 fake passports out of 7.
Ooh, 6 fake passports. I quite like that.
Also, I could have had fake driving licenses or burner phones out of 7.
Or you could have just gone with IDs.
No, that's boring.
All right. I'm giving it, you ready?
Yes.
10 out of 10!
And that's also a score.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the singing. Thank you for meeting me on my level.
You're welcome. I came all the way down here.
So why did
Special
you
for
give
you.
it 10 out of 10? The perfect episode.
Yes.
Care to elaborate?
No.
All right. And on that note, that's all, folks.
I was going to elaborate.
Okay. What would you elaborate?
Just that I liked it. It was different. And there were some people that were good that I liked.
I'm starting to see why you weren't going to elaborate. So you gave it 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because it was different.
Yep.
And it was good.
Yep.
And there were people in it.
I liked it.
You gave it 10 out of 10 because you liked it.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that clarification, Liv.
You are welcome.
Would you like to know why I gave it 6 out of 7?
Okay.
because that's the score I thought it deserved. And on that note, that's all, folks, unless Liv's got yet more to go.
I was just going to say...
Oh, there is more.
That if you have the time...
Or you fake me out.
We would really appreciate it if you could rate and review the podcast. It would really mean a lot to us.
Yeah, because we're trying to grow the podcast, and so any input or anything like that that can help us grow the show is going to be really helpful to us and really appreciated.
It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Toodles!